what can you do with these free heart designs I'm giving away all through January? Well, in this video I'm going to show you how to use these smaller ones to make some gorgeous heart-shaped earrings. And you can also use these slightly bigger ones to make pendants. But in this video I'm just going to cover how to make earrings. So this is heart design number 8, and you can get this and all the others over on my website, and the link to that is in the description below this video. You get 2 free files with each heart, this PDF and a PNG file with a transparent background to use in your digital designs. Once you've been to my website and downloaded the files, you can print the PDF onto good quality printer paper. This is the one I use. You can get it in Tesco in the UK, and it's also sold in the USA too. I'm not sure where, but definitely on Amazon. And once you've printed out the PDF clip art, it's time to clip out the hearts. And with this design number 8, it's the smallest hearts we want, and you will need to cut 4 of them for the earrings. I'm going to show you 2 ways of sealing the paper to make shiny earrings, and the first way is a cheat, but it really works. I used transparent packing tape for the first pair of earrings, and this is the fast way to make them because it cuts down on the drying time you need to make these earrings. And it's so simple. You just place a piece of clear packing tape over the hearts and then smooth it down really well. And this part is important. You must spend time smoothing it down with pressure. I sometimes use a roller to get even pressure, and that does work really well. But I couldn't find my roller, and so I used my thumb. And that works just as well. So if you don't have a roller, just use your thumb. And then you will have to trim off the excess tape, because if you don't, you're going to get it stuck all over the place when you're trying to cut the hearts out. So just trim all that off, and this is what it's going to look like. Very shiny, and I can tell you this works really well. So you could cut these hearts out by hand, but for speed I am using one of my heart punches. And obviously if you're going to use a punch, you need to trim off the excess really closely to get your punch in there. Now this punch is slightly smaller than the design, but I don't mind because all that happened is I cut off the blue edge. And the only thing that I've found using the sticky tape is when you try to use a craft punch to punch something out that has sticky tape on top of it, it can be a little bit problematic. So you have to make sure that you give it a really good firm push when you cut these hearts out. And you can see how much of the edge I lost there. But if you know what you're doing and you get my PNG version of this, you can resize that heart in design software and to match, or more closely match, any heart punches that you may have. But you do need to know what you're doing with PNGs in order to do that. Now I have all 4 of my hearts cut out, it's time to move on to the next stage, which is to cut more hearts from plain card. And you can use cereal box card for this. I would rather have used cereal box card myself, but I don't actually have any at the moment, so I had to use this white card that I do have. And you are going to need 2 more hearts per earring. The next step is to stick 2 hearts together, so that's 2 hearts per earring. And I use high-tack, very sticky PVA glue for this step, because when the pieces are dry, they dry out very hard. And this glue actually is white. You can see that the brush I used to spread it, I hadn't washed it properly from my last painting session, so it does look kind of blue, but it's not blue, that glue is white. And you need to be really accurate with this step. You need to get those hearts lined up really well, perfectly in fact. And the way that you can help do that is if you put not a huge thick layer of glue on there, but you know, a reasonable amount so that you've got some leeway there to slide the two pieces against each other to get them in place. Because if you don't put enough glue on, they stick almost immediately and they're very difficult to move. Once you've done that, you stick the earring designs on there, front and back, and then you let them dry completely. Now, the one thing I wasn't sure of with this, because I hadn't tried it before, was bearing in mind that these are made with sticky tape and alcohol is a solvent for anything sticky. I wasn't sure about colouring the edges of these earrings using alcohol markers. So I decided to experiment with it and it turned out fine. I did in fact colour the edges in the end with alcohol markers, Sharpie markers, and it was all fine. The sticky tape didn't lift, and so yeah, I would say go ahead and colour the edges of yours, and it should be fine. So while I was waiting for them to dry, I started preparing the next lot of hearts to show you the second way I use to seal my earrings, and I'll explain why in a moment. But what you need to do for this step is to seal the inkjet print with some kind of sealer, and I use this sealer from Plasticoat and it's matte. I prefer matte when I am sealing my inkjet prints, and inkjet prints do need to be sealed if you are going to use any kind of wet medium on top of the print. And that's because if you don't, you will end up with this happening. Can you see that milky kind of smeary look? This is the first heart printable that I gave away, and I used the Anita's 3D gloss, which I'm going to show you in a moment, to seal this. And this is what it looks like without the Anita's gloss on. But once I put it on the other side, it went very milky and smeared. So that's why you must seal your inkjet prints with something like Plasticoat in order not to have your prints go pale and smeary. And if you do seal them first, it will take the Anita's gloss really well. I'll just quickly show you here while I am waiting for the other earrings to dry. I also made earrings with the clear packing tape from another one of my free designs. You can get all these designs, they're still up on my website. They will always be up on my website, so you can always get them. As I said, there's 8 so far and there will be more by the end of January. So for those ones I used another one of my heart punches, and I did kind of design this heart around the shape of that punch. So these look really pretty as earrings, and I just added some silver tone findings to them. Quite easy to do. You just need to punch a hole in the earring, of course. And I use these Euro Punch pliers 1.80mm, and you can get these online. I think I do have some in my Amazon shop, and you can find links to my Amazon stores on my website, link in the description beneath this video. It makes a very small, neat hole, perfect for earring findings. It can be a bit tricky to get the pliers out, especially when you have sealed them with a 3-dimensional gloss. It's slightly trickier, but it does work. I've made lots of earrings this way. You just have to be careful when you release them from the pliers, from the hole punch. But As you can see here, sometimes that gloss on the other side will resist being completely cut, so you just snip it off with a pair of scissors, it's not a problem. And as always with using jump rings, you open them from back to front, not side to side. Ideally you would be using jump ring pliers, but you can do as I'm doing here and just use your fingers, it works just as well. And then you just pop your earring wire on there and close your jump ring back up. And if you do it back to front rather than side to side, you don't have a gap there that's going to make your earring fall off the wire. So that's one pair of earrings complete, and they were made with clear packing tape over one of my previous designs, which, as I said, are still available over on my website. And before I show you how to glaze the earrings with Anita's clear gloss, I'm just going to very quickly cover how I colour the edges of my earrings, because I think it is best to colour them. You could leave them white if you wanted to, but what I decided to do was colour the edges of the two cereal box hearts or card, whatever you use to make those extra hearts with. I found it best if I colour the edges of that first and then colour the edges of the actual heart designs that are going to go on the front and the back, colour them individually as well, and then stick them together. I think colouring the edges with this Sharpie marker is probably not as easy as it should be, because these markers are quite old now and I really need to replace them with some that are more juicy. And also this card is quite thirsty, so much more absorbent, so that wasn't helping either, but the colour went onto the edges of the designs really easily. Okay, one final design before I get to glazing the earrings made with design number 8. These ones fitted my heart punch a lot better. You can see I have put the clear packing tape over the top of these ones as well, and I'm just punching them out as I did before. I have coloured the edges of these designs and you can see it does make a difference. There is a bit of white because the heart didn't quite fit my punch, but I'm not bothered about that. It especially doesn't matter if you do colour the edges. It kind of, you know, nobody would really know that that wasn't part of the design. And you can see the difference. The ones on the right, I haven't coloured the edges yet. I just think it looks better with that darker effect around the edge. So I'm using a lighter blue Sharpie to colour the edges of this number 8 heart. Actually, it doesn't look that much lighter, it's completely different to the colour of the cap. So you can see the difference. It's all down to personal taste really. Some people might prefer them not to have the dark line. So you just need to do whatever suits you. I decided to use gold tone findings with these ones because they're much warmer with the yellow and orangey colours in the design. So I think the gold findings look really nice. Okay, so that's me done with the packing tape method of sealing the earrings. I'm going to move on now to how I glaze my earrings with the Anita's 3D clear gloss. So these are the designs that I sprayed with that Plasticoat matte sealer, and you can see that it dries up completely matte and nothing will smear that ink now. I did go ahead and colour the edges of the 2 cardboard pieces that go in the middle of the earrings. I went ahead and coloured the edges of them, and then I coloured the edges of the earring designs separately and then stuck them together. And here they are, ready to seal with the Anita's 3D gloss. And there is a technique to use to get this right, and I'm now going to show you how I do it. And when I'm using sealer, I always use one of these silicone honeycomb mats that you see here underneath. I was just tapping them together to show you how hard they are once that tacky glue dries up. So yeah, these honeycomb mats are brilliant because if any sealer overflows the edge, it just goes down into these honeycomb holes and you can just peel it out when it's dried up. So first of all, you need to put a good amount of the Anita's sealer, or you don't have to use Anita's. I don't think it's very readily available in America and possibly other countries, so you could use Mod Podge Dimensional Magic, which to me is identical to Anita's clear gloss. I just popped my light on there so that you can see better. So what you have to do is take a toothpick and pull the gloss right to the very edge of the earring. It's so easy to miss spots, so spend time on this, and if you need to add a bit more glue you can go ahead and do that, but don't put too much on to begin with, otherwise it takes an absolute age to dry and it's going to be difficult to punch through when you come to make your hole. So that's the technique. It's very simple, but you do need to use a toothpick or something pointed to just pull that sealer right to the very edge. If you were using a more runny sealer, then it probably will overflow and go down into the honeycomb, but that doesn't matter. I'm just going to do this one closer to the camera so you can see right to the edge. Look, actually I think I did miss a spot up there right at the top. I do love the look of when you use a 3D gloss. It does look really lovely. And then you just got to leave them there to dry. And here they are dry now, and you can see once they're dry that lovely rich colour comes back, and that's why it's important to use that sealer before you put the clear gloss on there. And you can also see why it's important to try and get the sealer all the way to the edge, because I didn't quite get mine to the edge. Look, you can see here where I missed, and there's a bit on the other one on the left hand side of the other one, but it doesn't matter, nobody's going to be looking that close at your earrings, but always try and get the sealer close to the edge. So here's the same design but sealed with clear packing tape, and you can see that the ones done with the 3D clear gloss have a much richer look to them. And yeah, you can see there where I missed where the sealer didn't go quite to the edge. But like I said, it's not going to ruin the whole project. They definitely look more rich when you have that thickness that comes with the 3D gloss. And here they are with the findings on. So if you want to make these earrings, or if you want to make earrings from any of my other free heart designs, just go down into the description underneath this video to find the link to my website. and you will find lots of free printables over there, not just these heart designs, but all kinds of free printables for crafters to use. So I know probably some people are going to say, well, how long will these earrings last if they're made of paper and card? Well, they will last quite a long time, as long as you don't get them wet. I mean, don't go swimming in them. But I don't make them for longevity. I just make paper jewellery because it's fun. I love to do it. It doesn't cost a lot. I love to design, and this gives me a reason to do it. So if you are wondering, how long they will last because you want to sell them, well, personally, I wouldn't sell them. I don't sell any of my crafts. I just do it for fun. So if you look at it from that point of view, it doesn't really matter how long they last, because you can always make more, and they do actually last quite a long time. So thank you everyone for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. I am giving away more free heart designs all the way through until the beginning of February. So until next time, take care everyone. I look forward to seeing you again soon, and please talk to me in the comments below if you have any questions.